Welcome to the morning shoot around here on the Athletic NBA Dailies YouTube feed. We're live on YouTube every week on Wednesdays. We'd love for you to join us on our YouTube page. While you're at it, subscribe, like the videos, leave a comment. We would love that. Today, we're going to talk about Game 6 of the NBA Finals, which is tomorrow, Thursday, in Indiana. Very exciting. We're going to talk about who the title would mean the most to if they won it. And then we're going to talk about a trade that we would like to see happen sometime this summer. Maybe it could be tomorrow. Who knows? There's trades happening right now.
Probably.
I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. With me, Dave DuFour, which is it's not often that Dave is on a podcast. He's not hosting, so he just gets to
True. I love it. I'm like looking at my phone right now. I'm like, wow. This is what it's like?
Yep.
Yes.
Zena Keita, Baraheni as well. The NBA Daily crew. Guys, Game 6. We'll start with Zena. Zena, what are your expectations for Game 6?
Oh, they've been dramatically lowered now that Tyrese Halliburton has been predicted to potentially be out. If anything, I just feel like OKC is gonna come out feeling really good, put their final stamp on this. Everything we have seen, everything we have applauded all season long is just going to be on display. It's going to be like, at the end of a fireworks show where they just go pop, 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 and it's just like all the fireworks all at once. That's what I'm expecting out of OKC.
We got more sound effects out of Zena.
Yeah, I know. I keep doing
my
this.
Day could not be starting out better.
It's kind of awesome.
I like it.
I gotta stop.
we need Joshua to do the same thing, right?
Is this one of those scenarios where all the fireworks go off at once? Is that what?
I mean,
the noise that you're describing?
Yeah, it's like at the I don't know. When I was growing up in North Carolina, we went to the State Fair a lot.
Grand finale.
At the end of the day, it's the grand finale. After hours of fireworks, everyone sits and it's just like an explosion of all the things you saw, every color, every stream, everything, and you're just like shocked and amazed.
The guy, like, wow. the person out on the barge or whatever setting the fireworks, the way that started is the first guy that was doing that just got bored. He's like, oh my gosh, this is too much. This is going on too long. Let me just set them all. They're gonna love it if I just set these all off at once. I
love it.
Right?
That's great.
I mean, that's got to be what it is. Because I mean, who can sit through that? Like fireworks shows are long as it is. Imagine if they just continuously set off that many. I don't know.
Wait.
How did we get to this,
Dave?
We went way off on.
I'm not into fireworks. Fireworks are just like loud.
Here. You watch it.
That's what I expect.
Once a year, you can't sit through it. Once a year.
Okay. Well, wait. Now I'm from Virginia, so we would have fireworks for everything: the State Fair, the Crab Carnival.
Don't mention the Crab Carnival as if it's something we know what.
Yeah. What is a Crab Carnival?
What does that mean?
Crab Carnival. So the town that I went to high school. Shout out West Point. The Pointers. That was our mascot. Pointer dog.
Go Pointers.
Pointer dog. Bird dog, right? A lot of bird hunting out in that area. Tidewater area of Virginia. Yeah. So we have the Crab Carnival every October because the best crab in the world is from that region. The Chesapeake Bay.
Really?
Blue crab. Delicious. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have Crab Carnival, with a nice parade through town. We have
a
two stoplights in that town, by the way.
That's amazing.
Yeah, a McDonald's and a Hardee's.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
One gas station. Although actually, I think there's two now.
There's got to be at least a second.
I haven't been there in a while, but I think that there's two now in town. But yeah,
and apparently fireworks.
And fireworks.
Constant fireworks.
Of course. Well, the thing is, it's at the confluence of two rivers where they become the York River. And so you have all this water there. It's a great place to watch fireworks, right? Like you always want it over water. So any excuse to make things go bang in Virginia, we took the opportunity. So 4th of July, we were out on the river, and so were the fireworks, right? Like, sometimes you just are out in the woods.
Zena, can we get a sound effect again?
I don't even know. There's so many different ways that people in Virginia make things go bang.
Exactly.
So
yes.
I don't know which route.
On any given weekend, you may do all of them, right? Like we were open to a good time as long as there was a loud noise involved. Anyway, okay. So, but to your point though, Game 6. Now that Andrew's not here, let me put the hat on.
I answered
Game 6,
Andrew's question. Yes.
I know.
Yes.
And
Let's
I
get
took
other
us off
people's-
the rails. The coffee is just kicking in.
I love it.
So game 6, yeah, I mean, it does feel a little anticlimactic. I mean, this is why they play the games, of course. Like I don't know, our sentiment about it doesn't really change what happens. We still may get an exciting game. We still could get game 7. You know, I'm not willing to write the Pacers off completely just because of how we feel about it. You know what I mean? I think that this is still a good team. If they have to play around Halliburton, I mean, that's the tricky part, right? I think that there's a point in which he hurts him by being out there if he's ineffective like he was the other night. You know, to be a decoy, I think in the NBA, you just can't do that in the playoffs at all. Like being a decoy doesn't work. You're really just playing without a guy. And 4-on-5 offense, it's just not going to work.
Well, all due respect, I'm also attacking him if I'm OKC on defense. Like I'm going at him. I'm hunting him out.
Yeah.
You know? I'm targeting him. I'm making sure that he's working on defense. So that makes it that he's less effective. I don't know if there's a world in which I see the Pacers winning the series, but you know, it's winning game 6, I would say.
Right.
If there's one way they can do it? You know, I don't know if you guys have watched the Avengers and Doctor Strange does the one way thing, the one thing. I think if there's one way they do it is if TJ McConnell has an insane game. Isn't that crazy to say?
No,
isn't that crazy to hear come out of my mouth? TJ McConnell could save the Pacers season.
He's already had some insane games. I mean,
do it again. Yeah,
there's a real trap here with the thought of, okay, that's all right. We got TJ McConnell, who normally plays 18 minutes a night.
He's now going to play 30.
Yeah, now he's going to play 30, and he can't play it the same way. Like part of what makes him so special is that he doesn't play that much, and he gives you
Robinson thing. Yeah,
right. He gives you 100%, at like full blast all the time. Right. Like this is why he comes in and he creates so much chaos, and why I think like even closing with him down the stretch, he's not as effective. He's just doesn't have the same amount of energy. And so I think there is a little bit of a trap there. I mean, maybe the move is just put Ben Shepard in the starting lineup, right? And you just say, hey, we're going to be short a man, but at least we're going to lean defensively here. We got another guy who can guard Shea, theoretically. So that whole, like, with Shepard and Nembhard, you can switch a little bit easier, I think, than you can with him and Nesmith.
Yeah.
And maybe you go that way and you just say, hope, you know, we get enough shots out of the rest of the guys, but then you don't have enough ball handling, because I don't really think Ben Shepard has done a great job, especially in this series.
No,
Nembhard, you know, after a rough game 5, like what does he look like from a confidence standpoint? I mean, typically he's a guy whose handle you can rely on, but I do think that like there's a trap for us, right? Like I don't think that the Pacers coaching staff are going to fall into this, but there's a trap to be like, okay, let's turn that nozzle of TJ McConnell up a little bit more, go from 22 minutes to 32 minutes. It doesn't extrapolate.
No, that's like saying like, man, ice cream's so good, I'm just going to eat it for every meal, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
He's trying to just get me. He wants me to rant about ice cream.
You
now?
could.
Is that what's happening?
It's incredible in short spurts in your life.
Right.
But if that becomes the main thing, it's like, you know what? This kind of isn't it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not fair to ice cream and not fair to TJ McConnell to put them in that position. Yeah. Let's be honest.
You guys ever take economics and the concept of utils? You guys want to talk about that? No.
Like utility? Like, are you talking about
utils?
Oh,
like, yeah, but that's what in economics, it's like basically the concept is like if you are craving a hamburger and you finally get that hamburger.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And you like take a bite of the hamburger. That first bite, from the first bite to the second bite, the utils go down. The ability of it to satisfy
diminishing return.
Right. There's diminishing return. Exactly. And so I feel as if you get those spurts, you get that third quarter out of TJ McConnell, you get those spark plug moments out of TJ McConnell because you need it at that first bite. You can't go through the full burger and expect that same level of spark and that same level of impact from him, especially because, he's not on the younger side when it comes to the personnel in Indiana. But overall, you just use him for a little bit, bring him back out, use him for a little bit, bring him back out. I think that's the best. I mean, that's why he comes off the bench, and he's had such a long career being able to do that.
Yeah. They're just in a tight spot. I mean, when your second best player is just a zero on both ends, I just don't know how you win basketball games.
Yeah.
They need like out of body experience from Pascal. That's like
and Obi Toppin.
Yeah.
Like they need
Toppin.
another game one from Obi Toppin. They pretty much need everybody.
Yeah.
Again, right? They need another night where they have 6 guys with 12 points.
I will say though, these are the type of games that the Pacers usually end up the games where they have 0 chance of winning, you know.
I know. And then the ones that they're supposed to win,
right?
Crazy. Yeah, Mathurin too.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's had some good games at home. Like if he had another 27-point outing, and
I was just gonna say,
Pascal
right,
had 30 something, like they'd have a shot.
Mm-hmm.
They would have a shot. But this is where you look at all these younger guys, because there's a lot of young guys on both squads. And it's like, how do they handle this? Because this is where the pressure is the most for both teams.
Yeah.
Ton of pressure for OKC to close it out. Ton of pressure for Indiana to not lose. And so who's able to step up? You know, I think that you can count on Pascal and Shea, and I think J-Dub has probably earned us saying that he'll step up. But, you know, Cason Wallace has had one good game in this series.
Mm-hmm.
You know, does he show up again? I think it's going to be interesting. Ben Mathurin is up and down. Like you don't know what you're going to get from him. You know, who shows up? Do we get another 3 threes from Cason, or do we get another 25 from Ben Mathurin? I think that
honestly
will determine what happens.
The guys that have been a little and it's been a little under the radar that they've been relatively ineffective offensively is Nembhard, Nesmith, and Turner.
Miles Turner.
Yeah, I was
They've
talk about
gotten
Miles Turner.
very little out of those guys. You know, Nesmith, look, part of that is his role, right? Like sometimes he's going to touch the ball, sometimes he's not. But with Turner, he gets touches and he's getting shots. He's just not making them. You know, that 3 is not falling for him. He's not really been forceful inside. Like this isn't a team where he's able to get a mismatch and do anything. And that's where I think they got to go away from those guys and give Pascal more touches, right? If those guys aren't able to score, like they got to just get away from him early and say, we're going to clear out, let Pascal work a little bit. Maybe they go a little slower in the half court.
Yeah.
You know, I know that they don't want to do that anymore, but they have that, you know, that Pascal button is there. They can hit it 30 times. I mean, he will shoot 30 times if they let him.
I will say there was a stretch from the start of October till January, or probably like early January, where Halliburton was not as effective. The back issue was plaguing him. I remember we talked about it a bunch.
Like December.
Yeah,
Mhm.
till
December
about
is when he picked it up.
It was about like the first couple of months of the season that where he was a little bit less effective, and the home and away splits and all that type of stuff about Halliburton was being talked about. And was that just a one-hit wonder type of season? They did put the ball in Pascal's hands more, and that's what got him an all-star berth. That's why they leaned on him more offensively. So maybe that helps them. There's a little bit of muscle memory here where it's like, okay, we know how to play without Halliburton being the most effective guy. Let's lean into that identity that we had for the first couple months of the season where we kind of did stay afloat. But is that enough in the NBA finals against games, you know, in game 6? And I don't know about that. That's my thing. And to your point about Miles Turner, he's had moments here. We've talked about it in game 1 where he had that fourth quarter. I believe it was game 3 as well, where he had a really impressive fourth quarter, but for the most part has been pretty ineffective in this series. And the pick and pop stuff isn't working right now. They're hunting him out on defense. They're making, you know, the fact that the Pacers are playing such aggressive pick and roll defense with Turner involved. I don't know why we're not getting more from Miles. Maybe it is a lingering injury or something like that we haven't been reported, but it's tough to see this Pacers team getting anything or winning this game without Miles Turner having a massive impact. And they haven't had that for, 6 games now.
He's had defensive moments, right? But he hasn't had a 17, 20 point game, right? And honestly, like his rebounding hasn't been.
Yeah, he's averaging 3 rebounds in the finals. Yeah.
So he's just not really.
No. Is it that surprising?
I mean, a little bit.
Can we at least get 6?
Right. Like it's a little bit surprising to me.
Like that's
it is.
there. Like he's not there.
That's true.
Yeah,
I'm
part
actually
of it's that. and he's blocking shots, right? Like that's the thing, is he is contesting a lot of shots. So Pascal winds up with a lot of those, those rebounds on the backside. But you got to get more than 3. Like he's got to play.
He is also dealing with that respiratory thing. Mike
Sure.
Weisberg just mentioned that in the comments. Like that is absolutely fair. But at the same time, it's just.
Reasons for why don't change the fact that he has been bad. And then it's like Halliburton was bad in the last game. I mean, granted, he's got a calf strain. I don't know what we should expect, but it doesn't change that he did not make a basket.
I don't know if I would use the word bad for Miles Turner, because if you're looking at his stats, it's clear that OKC is doing their job in reducing the amount of shots that he typically took throughout the season. He averaged about 7 threes a game, almost, or 6 or 7 threes a game during the regular season. And throughout these playoffs, he's been, and that's not just OKC, but throughout these playoffs, that number has dropped, but particularly has significantly dropped against OKC. They do a great job of denying that pick and pop. However, even not even the pick and pop, even in transition, you're seeing Miles Turner be at the top of the key, acting as a screener, acting as someone to get Tyrese Halliburton open. He's acting as a person to kind of swing the ball to the other side. He's not looking for his shot as much.
Right.
And I feel like that has nothing to do with OKC as much as his ability to be let me be aggressive in these moments. Those moments during the regular season would have been a trail 3, would have been, an opportunity for him to pull up. So I do think that he's trying to fit whatever is best for Indiana. And that's why I struggle to say that he's been bad, because his numbers aren't that different than what he was doing throughout the regular season, other than the rebounding. That's for sure. But I just think that he's not looking for his own shot as much. But I don't know if that's him being bad versus him doing what he thinks is best for the team and the scheme of what they're trying to, what they're trying to scheme for, which is get Tyrese open or get Pascal open. But if he can get those threes up, where Hartenstein, Chet have to respect him, that opens so much space up for Pascal to operate, right? So they're there to get in.
Part of it is he gets them in this trap where the ball is stuck out above the top of the key, right? And you'll have 3 Pacers up there with the Thunder basically doing their blitzkrieg. You know what I mean? They are attacking the ball. And so instead of diving toward the basket and being aggressive, like you talked about, I mean, he's got a mid-range, right? That's a shot that he can get to. Instead of diving, looking for opportunities to cut, he's kind of stuck in this thing where it's going to get into a DHO hot potato game. And that's a thing that's been killing them. Like you mentioned, they're not getting, I don't think he's getting into position for the trail 3 often enough. And too many times he winds up at top of the key, shot clock expiring, and he's got the grenade he has to throw up. So some of this is on him for not being more aggressive in hunting these spots. But a part of it is, and again, I don't want to overlook this in how bad Nembhard and Nesmith and Turner have been offensively. The Thunder have been a nightmare for those guys. Every single time those guys have tried to put the ball in the ground, it's all arms swinging at them, and they just don't care about the fouls, right? Shout out Fred Katz wrote a really great story about this, and with Eric Name, and I think Sam Amick was in on it as well over at The Athletic, where they talked about the way that OKC uses fouling to their advantage. They don't mind putting you on the free throw line because who cares?
You can't call everything.
You can't call everything. We talked about this at the start of the playoffs, right? Raising the level of a foul to the point where essentially you're going to hear the contact before you get a whistle has really allowed them to push those guys so far out. So it's 2 sides of the coin, right? I think OKC has done such a great job defensively against those guys in particular. The one guy that's been able to get going consistently, well, 2 guys that have gotten going consistently is Pascal Siakam and TJ McConnell. 2 unstoppable forces of nature for some reason.
They really are.
And outside of that, I mean, Halliburton has 1 good game, maybe 2, 1.5 good games, I think we could say. And otherwise it's been non-existent. So, a lot of it is OKC has just been dominant. I mean, they have really owned the margins.
I also I think offensively something has changed for OKC because they're just involving J-Dub way more. The usage rate has gone through the roof. Every single game of this series, his usage has gone up. Every single game of this series, his drives have gone up. the screening from SGA on J-Dub to make that switch happen, or for him to get downhill. Like this is the adjustment that they did. It's, hey, let's get our 2 best players involved in an action offensively, and it will be very, very hard for the Pacers to try and stop this. That to me has flipped the series equally as much as the defensive side, because I think the defense is what you can rely on. The question has always been, how can OKC generate quality looks offensively consistently? And they've now found a way to do that.
Well,
with
Shea
J-Dub
is just
and Shea. Yeah.
Shea is like just sprinting to the basket every single time he wants to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
he's averaging 20 drives a game in the finals.
This guy is insane.
Yeah.
Right now.
It's nuts, man.
It's and then the shot making, it feels like his shot making has gone up as the playoffs has gone on, and he's making some of these 17 footers. Like, I mean, Miles Turner, I mean, he hit one over Miles Turner. I'm just like, what are you going to do there? You know,
Jordan and Scottie Pippen, man.
I hate to even feel that way, but like,
but J-Dub really does play like the no dunks guys. They talked about it. They talked. The no dunks guys, they talked about it with J-Dub, like looking like Scottie Pippen and how he can play. The cutting, the off ball stuff, the driving, the playmaking. It's just the defense, obviously. He pairs perfectly.
Yeah,
with what SGA needs from a secondary guy. And I mean, it's crazy because it's just the beginning for those two. So it's just, I don't want to put too much good juju out there. I don't want to put too much good stuff.
No, we're
out there for
jinxing
OKC.
this.
I know.
It's going to be a game. We're going to get a game 7. We're just totally jinxing this.
Indiana. Fireworks.
We've all been jinxing it. Because like every single person is after game 5. And we do this with every game 5, I think.
Yeah.
The home team wins. Oh, it's over. It's done. They're never going to win game 6.
Get closer to the mic. It's over.
They're never going to do it.
Look, teams who win game 5, 2-2, 75%, man. I'm just saying they win the series.
Yeah. And this has been an incredibly close series.
Yeah.
Thunder fans have felt incredibly nervous throughout this series. You know, Indy steals game 1. OKC returns the favor in game 4. But like this has been close. I mean, that game 5 was within 2 points.
My God.
You know, I mean, it was getting hairy.
There's a lot of mutual respect going on in this series, right? I feel like maybe that's something that we could hit on that's missing. There's no bad blood between Pacers fans and Thunder fans.
There's really not.
No.
Even like, the thing that should be is probably like the TJ McConnell stuff.
Right.
But as long as the Thunder win, everybody's like, "Oh, that was kind of cool that he did that." You know, like that's kind of how Thunder fans feel about it. So
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
What do you think that Thunder's fans' beef is with the national media?
Doris Burke. Honestly.
Oh, because the free throw merchant stuff.
Yeah, if there's anything, Doris Burke is like probably enemy number 1 in OKC right now.
Wow. Don't
crazy.
come out the ESPN truck.
Seriously. Like who else would it be? Because you look at I mean, Halliburton is just too likable, you know?
Well, apparently he's overrated.
Well. Yeah, I tend to agree. Everybody in this series, all the players are likable.
Yeah.
Coaches are
very likable.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, ish. I mean, at least one of them, yes. And Rick Carlisle's done it long enough that you respect him so much.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, I don't know. It's like a very nice NBA Finals.
I think it was been nice since the conference finals. Like no one really hates anyone on Denver. No one really hates
the Knicks and Pacers was kind of crazy
Pacers,
a little bit. That was a little
confused to it.
They did have mutual respect. I remember post game they were like, "Hey, we love this team, etc." But the history.
I'm thinking more.
I feel like it's less the team. Exactly. I feel like the Knicks aren't hated. It's the fan base that is.
This Oklahoma City and Indy, right? Like this is like independent wrestling, like indie wrestling. This would be like these guys are shaking hands in the ring before the match and, you know, talking about honor. That's what this feels like to me.
Well, I think some of it is just the disposition that the Thunder take to at the podium, because I think a lot of things get ramped up because of the podium.
Yeah.
You think like finals in the past, it's like Draymond Green takes the podium, like something's gonna happen. Like he's gonna say something, and he's doing stuff on the court too. Like the Thunder know to like not use the podium as a place to create controversy, and so even to the point where like I'm just trying to get Jalen to say something nice about himself. He had a great game.
You asked him about his 40-point game, and he's like,
we need to win
it's such
one
a good
more.
bit.
You know,
It's such a good bit though.
you just want to win one. Like they just want to win it so bad, and they don't want anything else getting in the way. Like they don't want these like petty rivalries, even if there is something between Shea and Nembhard, which I think like there clearly has been like some agitation like between the two of them.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
if you ask Shea, it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. You know, like, he's just not going to say anything. You know, he pushed him. He got an offensive foul within like the first 3 seconds of a game.
Yeah.
And like, when has that ever happened? Never. But you know what? Nothing's happening. I feel great. I love that guy. Good childhood friend over
Damn
there.
Canadians.
You know?
Damn Canadians.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I will say, to his credit, though, the guys that you want to like kill the most when you're playing against them are the guys that you know.
Yeah, the guys you
I
know.
mean, those are the guys that. I mean, also the guys that you want to fight the most are the guys that you know when you're playing. I mean, that's a real thing.
Yeah, because you played against them so much. I mean, Nembhard and Shea, they've played against each other since they were like 10. You know,
Right.
So they have a big history of playing against each other.
Yeah.
There's also Dave can come to Frontier City and watch fireworks on the 4th. We'll try to do better than the Crab Carnival.
That's a tough one. Crab Carnival is very well known event, right?
Exactly.
Not to be confused with the Urbana Oyster Festival, which is down the road. That's a different thing.
Those two constantly. I cannot stop. Like
Man, I'm kind of sad that I didn't know Virginia was a seafood type place. You know?
Yeah.
This is my
We used to take
I've
summer
been
vacation
there multiple times, and I've never been like, damn. Okay, I guess so.
Oh yeah.
I used to I grew up doing a lot of fishing. I mean, it's kind of like a Virginia thing. Noodling, you guys ever heard of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you use your fingers to catch catfish.
Yep. Oh, that's cool.
That is not what I called noodling.
I thought you meant
not canoodling.
Nope, I wasn't even thinking that. I mean, noodling for us was you get those styrofoam noodles.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And you float in a lake somewhere.
That's exactly. Thank you,
sorry,
Zena.
guys.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
That's funny.
I am from the country.
Yeah, you stick your hand in a hole.
And you wiggle your fingers.
A dock.
And the catfish.
Yep.
And you grab and pull it out.
Ooh, I kind of want to try that. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, people are pulling
I'm on the opposite end of US. I am over here.
Giant catfish, like huge catfish when you're noodling. Monsters.
I've never gone fishing, but I feel like fishing with your hand is another level. You know
that. I mean, honestly, like no matter what kind of fishing you do, you wind up using your hands. So I would just say noodling. I'm not like. That's not my favorite kind of fishing. It's not the best. It's I don't know. And there's like water moccasins out there where I'm from. So, there's other stuff that's not catfish that you don't want to run into. Also used to go gigging for frogs. That's a whole thing where you have a trash bag and you catch frogs inside the trash bag.
What are you doing with the frogs? What are you doing with the frogs?
Frog legs, man. They're delicious.
Okay. That's
now I don't eat them anymore, but
I've never had frog legs. Yeah, see, I'm with Zena on this one. I don't know if I'm gonna have frog legs, to be honest with you. I can't do it.
They're really good. I mean,
I believe you. I believe you.
It tastes like chicken.
I don't like them.
It tastes like chicken.
I believe you.
Ugh. Anywho, I had a question. This randomly came to mind. You know how in this whole series, we're upon game 6, and there's this whole conversation around the stars and everything. And Andrew, you were just talking about disposition and how poised, really, I would say the Thunder, but also, Indiana has been as well. And this is going to be such a turner of a conversation. We are going to go off topic here, but it's making me think throughout the dynastic run of the Warriors.
Let's have the conversation.
But let's just be real. You think of the big three, over that course of time. And even include Kevin Durant in that mix. Like, Steph wasn't this personality, right? He was very steady. He was very poised. He was very stoic in the same way that we've described Shea. Klay Thompson wasn't either, right? Klay Thompson would be folding up his paper airplanes out of the box score and like keep it steady. And it's making me realize
Draymond, though,
the marketing power of Draymond. Like,
well, he was a villain.
Think right, but I'm just saying, like, we keep saying, not we. I'm not even say we. People keep saying, get Draymond out of the league whenever he does these things, right? He has these acts, he has these things that happen. And yet we are seeing the same people that call for Draymond needing to be expelled and being suspended and needing to leave and just being done and being rid of him as a character in this NBA. Clearly, he did something that made all of you want to tune in, because if we are comparing these two teams, OKC, Indiana, you remove Draymond from the Warriors, it was very similar. There wasn't they were steady guys that loved to play basketball, that were really magical with the basketball and the things that they did, whether it was attacking the basket, their ability to shoot threes, the Splash Bros, etc. It was very similar. Likable characters leading the team, putting the teams on their back, young. The only
not LeBron, which was the big thing,
and not LeBron, right? And they weren't these like caricatures of what people think athletes are. They weren't dripping in jewelry. They weren't doing all these crazy outfits or anything like that. The main thing that I'm seeing, the difference was Draymond.
Also LeBron, though. It's also LeBron.
Maybe the foil with LeBron, sure.
Right?
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
So, like, if you had a scenario here for the Thunder where they maybe are up against, I mean, not the Celtics, just from a personality standpoint, but maybe the Celtics because of what that team represented. Right. Like them winning the title last year. If they're playing the Thunder this year, the Thunder would maybe look like the young upstarts, and you would have a different dynamic than what we've got. But that is a pretty good point. Like I'm with you. I think, though, a lot of that is Draymond used the LeBron foil to become Draymond as well. Right. Like,
I will
you
also
have
say,
this antagonist there.
I'll just say this real quick. I think the Warriors also became hated because of how good they were immediately. And that is happening to the Thunder a little bit too, where there are a lot of people who hate the way the Thunder play in terms of the like you said, the physical defense, the foul merchantry from SGA that people claim. Like, that is something that's already a conversation with them. If they end up winning a couple, I could see that easily being the same case for the Warriors as it was for the Thunder. Well, as for the Thunder as it is for the Warriors, because hate comes in a little different ways. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Draymond type guy. Some people don't like SGA's game. I'm not in that camp, but there is a world in which there are guys who don't like the way he plays,
But I think you're absolutely right. I agree with everything you're saying. And I guess I want to separate the conversation between hating the fact that they're so good or hating the way that they play versus this cultural conversation around they're boring. Right. Yeah, people wanting to or expecting them to not be so passive or seemingly passive. People wanting a little bit more energy or, again, a caricature of what a bought in athlete looks like. And I'm like, these guys are, I don't want to call them boring, but they're just the steadiest Steph was.
Let's do a comparison. Let's do a comparison. Like the Celtics last year, people called them boring. I think this year they called them boring. I don't know if people called OKC boring to the level that they called the Celtics boring. True.
I just don't know what do people want. I like, for me, I do not care.
Do you want Draymond?
Yeah.
I don't care. I just want these guys to play basketball. And then I love that these guys are what we call boring. It's great. You know what we don't have to deal with? None of these guys are going out like doing anything dumb after a game. I haven't heard about any of these guys being mean to their wife or girlfriend. You know what I mean? Like, I'm actually super into these nice guys. Yeah. It's great. The basketball's been so awesome.
Their brand of basketball is awesome. I don't see the vision.
Agreed.
I don't see the vision.
And so I guess, like, in a lot of ways, to the comment here that says this is from Shad Zaman, maybe Zaman. I'm gonna try it both ways. They want Michael Jordan. In a lot of ways, these guys are more like Michael Jordan because I didn't like as a kid growing up, I didn't really know what Michael Jordan was doing when he wasn't playing basketball. The thing that made him compelling to me was that he was a killer for 48 minutes a night. Yeah. And I'm watching these guys. And again, like I it's hard for me to do the whole, this is Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen 2.0. But man, it's been fun as hell to watch because that's what it's like. Right. And so I think like part of them being like kind of sweet, you know what I mean? Like they're sweet kids. Chet is on SVP after the game, and all he wants to talk about is how great, you know, Jalen Williams was. Like I actually, I'm a basketball coach, so maybe I'm a little bit sentimental about this stuff. I've loved this series because they're nice guys and kind of boring. They're all about the basketball.
Right. So it seems, you know, and I guess the question is like, a comment saying like, yeah, they were playing against LeBron. I mean, even against the Celtics, like that was still a thing in which Steph was still who he was.
Well, by then though, they're characters that you know.
They're right. They had been established as characters. Exactly. So I guess my point is that you need, in that point, it flipped, right? The Warriors had been the established brand and the Celtics were the up and coming, as opposed to the Warriors being the up and coming brand going up against LeBron. Now it feels like, okay, you can have an OKC and you can have an Indiana, but people don't want both going against each other. You need like some sort of an established.
You need a foil versus
if I can take it back to professional wrestling, okay, because everything I learned about life, I learned from professional wrestling. It's not the heel. You need the established star. You need the entity.
That's
right?
what
because
it is.
That person then builds the next star, right? You put that person over, right? Yeah. So what the Warriors were able to, like what they did, they were the old champion against the up and comer, and the up and comer needs to lose first. Remember, everyone forgets Rocky loses in Rocky 1, right? He loses in the first movie. He doesn't win until the second one. And that, like, from a storytelling perspective, which is really like what we do, right? Like we're trying to interpret and tell the story of what happened. Right? From a storytelling perspective, the Warriors had a great run, and so did the Celtics because they lost one, then they come back and win one. I mean, this
Nuggets
is the thing
too,
right? This is the thing that we love about sports. We love the struggle. I mean, even Michael Jordan, he lost to the Pistons. I remember being almost in tears the last year they lost to the Pistons because I was so tired of the Pistons dominating my Bulls. And then the next year they break through. And so, wrestling is written exactly right. It's written with the story in mind. But one of the reasons why we love sports is because it actually has good storytelling elements if you pay attention to it. Right. We're rewarded for those that pay attention.
There's also like a unpredictability to sports, which adds that level of storytelling that gets heightened, right? Yeah. So with wrestling, you sort of know the tropes of what's going to happen. Whereas basketball, there are 1,000 different tropes that we've seen throughout NBA history. And then these tropes kind of repeat themselves. History repeats itself.
Storytelling is storytelling. Like if you read the Epic of Gilgamesh,
compared to what you see now,
very similar to what we know.
Homer's Iliad, like same thing, right?
Yeah.
So now, with that in mind, these are now two teams that haven't been established, and there's one team that has already gone through their kind of sad story, right? OKC coming up short, wanting to get there, and there's this up and coming team in the Pacers that has the opportunity to do the unthinkable, to become the champion over the team that had persevered and gotten themselves back to this opportunity to win it all. And so, that's what Andrew wanted to ask us: who would a championship mean the most to in terms of the storyline? Like we could talk about it from the storyline, but we could also talk about it from this team. I think from a storyline perspective, Indiana winning would ruin the story.
In a lot of ways, right?
It would ruin the story.
Well, isn't that a story in itself?
Season, and that's right. Exactly. Season, and that's exactly. That's a story in itself. And I feel like that feels more weighted as far as like there's more weight on that to completely not only disrupt and completely ruin OKC story, but then create your own. And now you're this champion that people are gonna be like, how the hell did you get there? We got to come back and get you next year. Can you repeat again? How can you rebuild again? So I feel like that, to me, from a story perspective, feels more heavy, more impactful.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it would mean to the team to the franchise, to the fans, it would mean the most to OKC from that perspective of they had gone through this adversity to get back to where they were.
Yeah.
And to be so close now.
You honestly answered that perfectly, because I completely agree there. I think the Pacers are exactly the team of destiny stuff that we've talked about, the basketball gods being on their side, the run. I mean, statistically, if they won the championship, they would be the biggest underdog to ever win a championship. That all adds to the story. It adds to the lore of what this Pacers season was, right? Whereas for OKC, it's the dominant. It's like Shad Zaman also said, OKC hasn't had to face many obstacles. They had one season where they really faced an obstacle, and that was last year, right? They lost last year. They now bounced back this year in a major way and one win away from a championship. To them, this is about certifying everything that they've done this season. It's the 68-win team. It's the team that was the #1 defense in the league, one of the best defenses we've seen. It's SGA cementing himself as an MVP. Like, that is to your point, the prototypical story that you see in sports, right? The dominant team that goes out and finishes the job. I think that's equally good. But also, like, if you zoom out and look at OKC history and how for years it was, okay, they moved from Seattle to OKC, and the Seattle lost out on these stars and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and James Harden, and that team with the young guys, right? The youth developed in a way that they led themselves to the finals, and 3 MVPs came out of that core, right? And yet no championships to speak of, right? Nothing to look for. And they still find a way to chug along. They get Paul George, they get Russell Westbrook. That leads them to this era. And to me, that looks at like what OKC has been over the last, however many years, right?
Over a decade,
right? 2008. Like, this is what it's meant to them for this entire stretch of their franchise to get to this point, to win a championship again with a young core. So it's kind of poetic. It's like you get to the point where you can do it all again and kind of redeem yourself for the 2008 to 2013 core that you had, Yeah.
I'm going to speak just also from, I'm going to put myself in the shoes of an OKC player, which are big shoes, but obviously I didn't play in the NBA. I played basketball, played sports, and I can't get with they haven't had any obstacles. I can't. Fair. It is hard to be excellent. It is incredibly difficult to be consistently dominant. To get that far in last year's season and to do it all over again and find yourself in the same position, like, that is not easy to do. Sure, when you think about the opponents, maybe you think about, they've had relatively really great health. That, sure. But to show up, to not have problems in your locker room, to not have problems within your organization, that's not easy to do. Like, we cannot underestimate that.
It takes hard work to make it look so easy.
That's what I think it is. Exactly. I think that they put on a really good face for all of us to be like, man, it's been pretty easy for them. Like, they haven't had any, like, no. I think that fans, and I'm not saying this, like, I'm not ragging on US. I think that fans
overall, you are. No, I'm just kidding.
No, they had to beat Jokic.
I'm kidding.
But, like,
they had to beat Jokic.
Yeah.
People, right. That's a real obstacle. But, like, I think people forget that when people are so excellent, they think it's easy. And the only reason I say this is because I remember Klay Thompson leaving the Warriors and, him talking about what he put into that team. And everyone thinks that they had such an easy walk for those 6 years that they went to the finals and they were winning Western Conference finals and they were just running through. Like, it was not easy behind closed doors. Right. And so I think that's what I just always want to, like, drop that in. It's not easy, y'all.
Just to respond to that, I will say, like, I think the one thing that I would add to that is the obstacles for them also came throughout their rebuild. It was, can we keep Shai Gilgeous-Alexander happy? Is he bought in to what we're building here? Are they going to nail these picks that they had? And first of all, like, bring in the characters that they need to become the type of high character team that they are right now. It's getting the right coach and allowing him to develop and learn and all that type of stuff. So those are obstacles in its own right. I didn't mean to take away from that, but I mean, like, from the sense of, like, elimination and all that, I would say their biggest obstacles probably happened this year. Denver, right? Taking them to 7, growing up. I think like that game where they got blown out by Minnesota and then responded in a huge way, that was their growing up game. And honestly, I think even in these finals, we can say they've had moments where they've grown up and they've faced obstacles and delivered. So yeah, obstacles are part of the championship run. There's no question about that. I can't take away from that at all.
How many games have they won? What is it? 80, 82, 81?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Well, more actually, right? 83. 83.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, they lost in the play-in,
2
years ago. That Dallas loss stung that group really bad.
Mhm.
Really, really bad. You think about how close that series was. They were a PJ Washington foul from Shea, from going to game 7 back in OKC. And then, who knows what happens. And the fact that it was Shea that committed the foul, it's funny because, sometimes these, really bad things that happen are almost what you need to happen in order to take the step you need to take. I thought it was good for Shea to have the moment. I thought it was genuinely good for him. I thought it was also good for J-Dub to struggle against Dallas.
Yes.
And for them to have to figure it out. And the offense was horrible, as it has been against Indiana. It's not like, oh my gosh, they figured everything out since that game, since that against Dallas, but they have figured out how to make adjustments. I think Mark did not adjust well against Dallas either.
Yeah.
I think Mark had to grow, throughout the summer for that, and has had to grow throughout the playoffs too. I mean, there's been growing pains that have happened for this team in real time. And because of their talent level and the way that they treat the days off in between games, I think they've been able to get there because they very much valued the days off in between and trying to get not only physically right, but mentally right in those margins is something that they're really big on. And so I agree with a lot of what you guys have said. And a lot of it is their front office values the people they bring in almost over a lot of things that other teams don't, value. They value the kinds of people they're bringing in the organization. And so that's a huge piece of it too, is that you bring in resilient people that have a resilient nature to them. It makes it easier for the team to be resilient. And so I think they have a lot of those guys. I mean, you look up and down the roster, and I think the same can be said for Indiana.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
They both have all these undrafted guys or guys that have been counted out, guys that weren't supposed to be here. There are plenty of those guys. They have the 2 star point guards weren't supposed to be star point guards. People didn't think that that's what they were going to be. And so I do think that the DNA of both teams, it's not an accident that they're here. And the DNA of both teams and the way that they've been constructed and the chip on the shoulder of so many of these guys in the resiliency, which I think is the key thing, is the reason that both teams are sitting here in the finals and we're going into a game 6.
And honestly, the way the Pacers built their team, we don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
There's all this talk about the only way small markets can build is through the draft.
No.
Get lucky in free agency somehow or something like that. And they managed to do it through some good drafting without a high draft pick and with timely trades, right? They've just done a really good job of maximizing every single piece that has come through the door. That Pascal Siakam trade is one of the best trades that anyone's made in the last 5 years.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now they have all the draft picks back.
Dude, they have all the draft picks back. They gave up basically the 19th pick, the 23rd pick, and the 20 whatever pick that will be the 2026 pick next year for Pascal. That's an incredible deal.
And if I'm Pacers GM every night, my prayer ends this way. And thank you, God, for the Kings.
Oh, man. Everybody says that one.
Oh, man. Yep.
Do we think that the run that OKC has a little bit more people are a little bit more impressed with it or have a little bit more emphasis on it because they've done it in the West that's stacked versus Indiana that did it in the East that's not as much? I mean, I remember Indiana got swept last year, right, by Boston, and they are now in the same position. They beat the Knicks again, which they did last year as well. And I feel like people are just this year feels more impressive because they were they were lower in the rankings. They were not supposed to get this far, essentially, especially with Boston still, now not being in the conversation. So I just wonder, like, even though these teams have had similar runs, at least in the last 2 seasons, not overall, they've had similar runs in the last 2 seasons, found themselves in similar places. Like, it feels as if we're more impressed with OKC, or there's more light shown on what they've done because they had to do it against the West that felt insurmountable. And they were dominant in the West at that. Whereas the East felt like it was always going to be between 4 or 5 teams. And Indiana has
Cleveland doesn't have the same juice that Denver has because they don't have Jokic, right?
Exactly.
And then you get a diminished Celtics team that they don't make it past the Knicks.
Yeah, I think there's Indiana is I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I would probably put Indiana neck and neck next year to like as the number 1 favorite to come out of the East.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
I mean, if you just look at what they were when they were healthy this year, they were the best team in the East after Nesmith got back in the lineup. I mean, they were fantastic to end the year. So I think if you think about how they finished, I expect them to start more like that next season.
And they just traded for their trade pick back. They now have all of their picks available to them to make a trade, to make a big splash if they want to. I'm not saying, they're going to go out and get Giannis. Maybe they do. Maybe they do. Go out
Giannis is staying.
I know. I know. But like something else, someone else. We just saw a team in Orlando trade for Desmond Bane, and we didn't expect that to happen. But
everybody's available.
Well, but I pulled up that graphic a few weeks ago about like paying the luxury tax. Do we believe, like, when we're talking about them making a trade?
Yeah,
I think it's more about that is more of a managing payroll move.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's have our picks so that we can pay somebody very little to play on this roster. Like, we believe in our scouting department, and we're not going to
re-sign Miles Turner. Yeah,
I don't think the mall business is doing well right now. Not well enough to be.
Is that what the owners do? Is that malls? Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
Really?
I don't know.
Oh, that's definitely not doing well.
Simon.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. You ever go into a mall like in the last like few years and just be like, how are they gonna sell this stuff? I do that. I've done that many times.
Yeah.
No,
actually, I went into a mall in Great Falls, Montana.
Mm-hmm. You did.
And it was like a mall, like it looked like it was 1988 inside. There was carpet.
Yeah, I actually went to a mall in Virginia that was exactly the same way.
Yeah. Ghost towns.
Where'd you go? Crystal City? Where were you?
I can't remember where it was, man. I'm sorry. I have no idea. But I was looking for a dress for my wife. Anyways, whatever. We couldn't find the dress. It didn't work out.
Yeah. He's looking for clothes for his wife. So funny. It's amazing. Okay, before we go, let's talk about a trade that we'd like to see, or even a team that you would like to see get in the mix this summer that is like a deal away or a player away from being a legitimate like title contender, or a team that could push for a conference finals.
I got one.
All right, let's hear it, Dave.
All right, a lot of KD trades out there. How about KD to the Denver Nuggets?
Yes,
right.
I love it. I want it to happen. Yeah.
If Kevin Durant's serious about wanting to win a title, and like go to an organization where it's not all about him, go play with Jokic.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about bad offers. Denver's, when it comes to KD and like the weak offers that they have, Denver does not have much to offer either. Right. Yeah.
What would the deal be?
It's like Michael Porter Jr., all of those young guys, and the one pick that they have available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gross.
Maybe you try to rope in Memphis now that they've got KCP and they've got Phoenix, that 2026 pick. Right.
Yeah.
And maybe you can pull something there where, hey, get your pick back. And I'm just not sure how to do it. But either that or, hey, how about Kevin Durant? Try to get yourself to Milwaukee. Go to a good team. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Milwaukee would be very interesting.
Yeah. Well, it would be because, like, what if the Suns just get a bunch? Well, they don't have nobody has the picks. Yeah, the Bucks don't have enough to offer here. That's the issue here.
That's the problem.
Can I throw out something a little bit off the wall here? I
please.
Unlikely that it happens.
That's why we're here, S.
Everybody's talking about KD Spurs, right? The Spurs should go after Kevin Durant, but there are two names that I would highlight if I was the Spurs, and in a Desmond Bain type of way, call these teams and ask about them. One of them is Derek White from the Boston Celtics, and the other one is Lauri Markkanen from the Utah Jazz. I don't know if there would be enough to do the Markkanen trade if they're not willing to, add the Vassell's and whatnot to do it. They obviously have the pick capital to trade for him. The team that I'm interested, the player that I'm interested for, if I'm San Antonio, is Derek White, because you need those type of players to compete for a championship. You need that like two-way guard who can defend. I think he would fit perfectly next to any of their guys. He's on an excellent deal, and Boston, actually, one of their picks is owned by San Antonio, so they could swap that, add a couple more picks, add a player, maybe Devin Vassell.
That's a lot of mouths to feed if you're going to keep De'Aaron Fox and Stephen Castle and that pick.
Yeah.
That's the only thing is that, they would have a lot of guards.
They would have a lot of guards. That is true. Yeah. I like Derek White on that team.
What about a Jaren Jackson trade? Should, like, if you're Memphis, I mean, it got harder to give them that full max because, like, obviously they've got to make another move, I think, on their books. But if you're thinking about blowing it up, like, would you call up Utah and say, "Hey, what would you give
crazy
us for Jaren Jackson?"
You just said that. I was just thinking that. I was
Jaren
literally
Jackson and Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah. Okay, so like the 5th pick for Jaren Jackson Jr. or something.
And unfortunately, need more stuff. Unfortunately, you would have to take some of Utah's players, which nobody wants.
Yeah, like a Walker Kessler, Jordan Clark. I don't know, whoever. Sure.
I mean, Clarkson,
Isaiah Collier. I don't know.
Where does that put Utah at that point? Like, they're not making the playoffs.
But you got to start somewhere. You got to do something. You got to do something.
Yes, you do, but like not that, right?
I keep thinking the Kings and Ja Morant feel like.
Oh, no, don't do this.
Doesn't that feel like a Kings move?
Oh yeah, they would overpay for Ja, and it would be so. It would not. That would be really bad.
Like Malik Monk and Domantas.
If you're Memphis and you just got this crazy offer for Desmond Bain, right?
Yeah.
You probably think, "Hey, I bet. What if we just call the Kings? What if we just put in one call to the King? Just see what they think." Ja Morant plays 60 games a year if you're lucky.
Oh man.
I mean,
Ja Morant.
This is me just being chaotic here, guys. But
sure,
I like it.
I think Memphis has those two pieces, and they could theoretically in a West they are not going to compete in for the foreseeable future. They do not have the stuff, right? They have two pieces that could trigger a really quick reboot.
Yeah, you would think it could be quick, but the problem is, like, when you think about quick rebuilds, like the Thunder are the model of the quick rebuild. They started their rebuild. They started the rebuild with Shea, who became this.
Yeah,
and it's. I mean, you have to really, when you decide to rebuild, you have to think we're going to be Detroit, and we're not going to be OKC. The OKC thing is an anomaly in so many ways.
Yeah.
So, but you could do what Detroit did, and you could be a team that is bad for 6 years, and then you emerge as a playoff team. Sure.
Was it only 6?
I believe it was 6.
It felt like
it's hard to really not include the 2013 to 2019 stretch where they were just.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking about like when they finally decided to reset.
Yeah,
right.
Like when they did like the full reset. Yeah, if you want to count the rest of that, then like you want to exist in purgatory forever, you can do what the Detroit did. But I think that the way that they did their rebuild makes sense, and if you want to do it that way, sure. But if I'm Memphis though, and we're thinking about expansion and we're thinking about teams that can survive in particular markets, I'd worry about doing that in Memphis.
Oh yeah.
I would worry about it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's something that I would want to do.
It's I'd say this. I think that Jaren is the guy that if they were going to move one of them, I think Jaren is the guy that they would keep.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be the
Really?
guy that's easier to build around.
Yeah, that's true. But the value around Ja right now isn't great either.
Exactly.
So it's like, what do you get in that way?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
All right,
know.
let me get my crazy one off.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do it.
As to your point of who would I call for? I love Derek White. I love their two options. I'm gonna add Denny Avdia.
Ooh, I like that. I honestly like that.
I would call and see what's up with him, see what they're offering, what they want. And I'd also look at, I mean, to your KD to Denver point, I get it. You want to win quickly. You want to win fast. I don't know. I feel like Kevin Durant feels like he probably is going to play basketball until he's 44. And I feel like for that reason, I'd be like, Kevin, go to the Pacific Northwest. You've been there once before. What's up with Portland? They got a lot of young people trying to build up. You know, I like the way Scoot's playing.
Wow.
I like the way Shaedon Sharpe is playing. I think that that's a young core right there that we keep forgetting about in the midst of the Houston Rockets and
I love
the
them.
world.
Yeah.
I really like Portland, and I do feel like they need a little bit of veteran presence and they need a little bit of organization. They need a little confidence boost to really to rock with teams, because they were in games all last year. They were in games, but they weren't able to close them out. And yeah, I'd be interested. That's my. I think we forget about Portland, and I would love to see.
Yeah.
You think KD is like itching to play with DeAndre Ayton again?
He'd never played with them.
Did they play Call of Duty
I think
together?
no. But I think he would be one of the ones to go for KD.
Yeah. I mean, well.
That would be funny
where do
if
you
the
send
Suns
Ayton?
trade back for DeAndre Ayton. My goodness.
That would be
He
hilarious.
should have been so good.
He should have.
You should watch that guy run the floor, and it's art. I mean, the way that he moves, like he's got great touch on his jumper.
Yeah.
He should be amazing.
Yeah.
Ice storms, man. Ice storms.
Yeah, just watch out for the ice.
You know what? Hey, know thyself. If you don't know how to drive in ice, please stay home.
Honestly, valid. As a person who deals with that 8 months out of the year, you're right. You're right.
You should be driving in the ice to go to work.
Yep.
How about that? Don't die to go to work. It's a good rule of thumb.
Hey, if I'm a team, if Jaren Jackson did become available, if I'm Detroit, I would try to get him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Detroit is a good pick.
Detroit.
There's an opportunity.
That actually is a team that is like one move away from being.
But you know what,
right
though?
there.
I honestly, like, what would Phoenix give up
For Jaren?
for Jaren?
KD?
Phoenix
KD
is
and
not
stuff.
that
Yeah,
good.
it's
That doesn't work for Memphis.
You want to take Bradley Beal? Yeah.
Bradley Beal does not want to move to Memphis.
Yeah, that's true. That's true also.
And by the way, I like Memphis. Memphis is a great place.
Yeah.
Would they get rid of their
not
rookies?
Phoenix
Or
weather
now
in
sophomores?
December.
Oh, like a Ryan Dunn and
Like a Dunn Iguodaro?
Iguodaro thing.
Sure.
I like those guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that. I don't know if
they
that's
would do
getting.
that.
I don't know if Memphis is doing that. You know,
No.
yeah.
I don't know, but
my
Memphis
guess
really
is
likes
Memphis
Jalen Wells.
doesn't move these guys. And by the way, we're gonna have Keith Parrish, who hosts Grits and Grinds, the Memphis Grizzlies podcast. We're gonna have him on the show tomorrow to talk a little bit about the Grizzlies side of this, because it is fascinating. They are at a bit of a crossroads, if we're looking at it realistically. So I'm curious to see what, somebody who's kind of plugged in on what's happening has to think about it.
Yeah, I love that. Another guy that if I'm Detroit, I would call New Orleans and try to overpay for Trey Murphy.
Yeah, that's another.
Apparently, the Trey Murphy market is extremely high.
Well, I could imagine, but I would say it's probably the exact same as the Desmond Bain market, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was the price to be paid to keep that deal quiet.
Yeah.
I think with Trey Murphy, I mean, it's probably like Mikal Bridges. It's like 4 firsts is where we want to start. And I just think that's insane.
That's a lot. But he's,
I would do it.
I'm a big Trey Murphy guy, to be honest with you.
I think he's a star, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think on the right team, he could be an all-star. Like you put him on Detroit or someone else.
Yep.
Yeah.
Toronto, and in 2 seasons, when we're talking about him the way we talk about Mikal Bridges, hey, that's just how it goes, guys.
Yeah, it's the way it goes. Yeah.
Cade needs guys like that, though.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
my God, can you imagine swapping out the Simone Fontecchio minutes?
Listen,
no need to catch a stray here
wow.
for Simone Fontecchio. I'm sorry.
always thinking about swapping out the Simone Fontecchio minutes. Always thinking about it. It's always on my mind.
Doesn't even play anymore, but yeah.
Yep. Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening to the morning shoot around. We appreciate you guys subscribing and following along all season, with the NBA Daily and now with the shoot around. I feel like it's something that we'll do. It's been really fun to do a long form show and for you guys to listen, and we've had a really good response to it. So very much appreciate that. If you aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do that. Like, comment on this video. We have a bunch of people watching right now. So if you could just like the video, leave a comment of a player that you would like to see traded this summer. We'd love to see that. I hope you guys have a great day, and we will talk to you guys again tomorrow.